Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Wedding Insights. This is an exciting new program designed to help you at all stages of the wedding planning process. If you're a couple or you're planning your wedding, whether you've just got engaged, in which case congratulations, whether you're a little bit further along or whether you're about to get married, whatever stage you're at, this is a program to help you. This is week 3, episode 3. We go out every Tuesday live on Facebook and YouTube at 7 o'clock. And we've had some really great guests on so far, wedding industry experts, suppliers, giving advice to help you from the perspective of what they do, what their profession is. They've been able to help and advise and sort of explain maybe how they add value, but also give you some hints and tips for your wedding. Tonight we're doing something a little bit different. So I'm live, so I'm doing all the links live. I'm talking to you live. You can still comment and chat and get involved. So please do that. I can see everything that's here, and if anything tickles my fancy, I can bring it up on the screen and sort of bring your profile up as well. So please feel free to get involved and to do that. But what we're going to do tonight, I was fortunate enough over the weekend to be able to record an interview with Stephanie and Daniel, who are a couple that have booked with me for their wedding videography, and I've been with them on the journey since they booked back in November 2018. So it's been quite a while now. So we met at a wedding fair, and I've sort of met up with them a number of times since. So we had a really nice conversation on Sunday. As I say, it's pre-recorded. And I've edited in and added some extra bits. So Steph, if you're watching along, as you said you would, you'll notice I've added in the photos and a few other bits. So that's really good. If you've got any questions, obviously, please feel free to post them. And Steph is actually in the chat, and she will hopefully be able to answer some of those for you. And the one thing I would say, stay with me, because there's some really good advice in here. And if you are getting married or you're in a difficult position looking to reschedule, Steph and Dan have some fantastic advice for you. So first of all, I'm just going to run the first video. And the question I wanted to ask them was, tell me about yourselves and also tell me about the proposal.
So, yeah, I'm Stephanie.
I'm Dan.
We met through friends, actually. So we were friends first before we got together. This year would be 7 years. 7 years we've been together. We ended up living together, I think, within like 6 months, just because of circumstances in a studio.
Yeah.
For a year. We didn't kill each other, so we knew that was good.
Yeah, it was kind of trial by fire. It was sort of, together pretty quick, but it worked out.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
So how long was it before you proposed then, Dan? When did you do that? Just so everyone at home sort of has an idea of when you did it and what you did. And
must have been 4 or 5 years.
No, it was 2017, December 2017.
17. Yeah.
Was it 17 or 16?
Something like that. I'd say like 3 or 4 years into the relationship. We kept going into ring shops because Steph kept going, oh, come, let's just have a look at rings. Let's have a look at rings. We'd keep doing it and looking at like rings that were
But to be fair, I'd be like, oh, should we try them on? And he'd go, yeah, okay. So that's...
No, it wasn't like, yeah, okay. It was like, again, really. So anyway, we'd keep doing that. And then like we sort of umming and ahhing between different rings and stuff because we kind of knew we was going to be together. And then one day she tried one on.
We had a mortgage at this point and 2 cats, so you kind of knew.
Right. It was a yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But and then she just tried one on in one shop, and I was like, yeah, let's buy it. And she was like, what? And yeah, that was to me that was kind of like the real proposal, because you were the most shocked at that point.
So it was the last ring in the shop and also the wrong size.
Yeah.
So they had to resize it.
Okay.
He tried it on and was just like, yeah, let's just get it.
He was like, yeah, that's the right ring. So I knew there was a ring, just didn't know when.
She knew she was going to get a proposal. And then a year or maybe less than a year.
Yeah. So with the proposal, I came home one day and I drove up. Dan, obviously we do Dan does some shift work, so he was on late shifts, so he wasn't going to be home. And I was meant to have a friend come over for dinner, so she was cooking for me. So I drive up and I'm like, oh, he's left all the lights on again. And then the lights go off and I was like, oh, that's not normal. So I rang him. I'll come around the front and the bathroom window's open. So I've rung him and I'm like, he hung up on me. And then I ring him again. I'm like, where are you? He's like, at work. I was like, where are you? The bathroom window's open, like, and stuff. And he's like, oh, does Emily have a key? I was like, no, she doesn't. And at this point, I'm thinking we're getting burgled. We're gonna have to knock on next door. We have to like phone the police. We're gonna have to like. So he's just like, just go up. I'm like, I'm telling you, we're getting burgled. You're telling me just to go in.
I was like, no, go inside, have a look, find out.
Find out. No. Do you want me to die? So I think the reason when I clocked was there was an ambulance or a police car that drove past, and I actually heard it down the phone. So I was like, okay, he's in the house. So I will go in. So I came up and opened the door, and there was candles, tea lights all the way to the living room, balloons. So you've got like you bought like helium, and done all these balloons and rose petals. And he was sat in the living room. So I then walked through to the living room. There was a heart with candles and petals and candles around the living room. And Dan was sat there with his guitar. And he played Tenerife C, which is going to be our first dance.
Yeah.
And then proposed.
Yeah. The thing about that is she came home early as well. So I planned to sort of like sit there and just like chill out and practice it a little bit. Literally, as soon as I sat down, like she started phoning me.
Yeah, I think you said you literally just finished lighting all the candles, and then was like,
it takes ages to light that many tea lights.
And then it's like, oh, and then it was like, okay, we need to blow these out because I don't want the house to burn out.
There you go. I hope you enjoyed seeing the actual photos of the proposal, and hopefully if you're watching this and you haven't proposed and you're considering proposing, there's a couple of ideas there of what you could do. Obviously try not to burn the house down, as we sort of had mentioned at the very end there. And yeah, obviously it didn't quite go to plan, but still fantastically executed, and you could see how great that was, and the effort that Dan had gone to there in the pictures. So after they told me about themselves, and Dan had explained the proposal, and Steph had sort of told us the experience from her perspective, I moved on to ask what was it that they booked first, and what order did they go about sort of planning the wedding after the proposal had happened?
Yeah, so the venue was the first thing, because even if you look at suppliers, until you've got a date and know what you're booking, you can't really book anything. You can inquire, but you want to know if they're free your date, and if you don't know the date, it makes things difficult. So we looked at Quendon first. So that was our first place we went to.
The first one, was it?
Yeah, it was the first one. It was literally like we phoned them on the day and was like, oh, we've got a day off. Like, can we have a look round today? And they were like, yeah, we've got availability. It's quite last minute.
Yeah. Which
is like a lot of the things we've booked. And we walked around and we loved it. But we were looking to book for a few years ahead. So I was still studying. Dan has braces.
Yeah, still got those on.
Yeah. Hopefully coming off soon. COVID's just delayed all that. So we wanted to finish my studies, get his braces off and everything before we got married. So we booked probably like 2-3 years ahead. So we booked in. So we were speaking to them. We did look about 10 different venues, I think, in total, but nothing for us compared to Quendon.
Yeah, Quendon were really, really good.
And I found a lot of places, if you're booking that far ahead, they can't guarantee the price. They'll have a price increase and they can't tell you what it was. So we actually quite liked and Quendon because they were like, no, this is the price, this is what it will be. So that was quite useful for budgeting. So that is one thing to consider. If they can't guarantee the price, make sure you allow for that.
When you say price increase, how much could that be from the ones that you looked at 10? Are you talking like every year it might go up by £500 or £1,000, or could it be even more than that?
Around 10%, they said. Right. It's up to 10%. A lot of them said. but they couldn't guarantee if it was 10% or not. So then you've got to work out 10% for that year, 10% for the year after, to then work out roughly what the price could be, but it could be a lot less if it doesn't go up 10%. But that's just something in your budgeting to consider. So because we did like Quendon, and it to us just felt right, and we knew this is the exact amount we pay, it kind of made it easier for the choice as well.
Yeah, they seem to vary a lot in how kind of good they are in terms of like their pricing and stuff, and how good they are about dealing with lockdown. Like, we've heard some real horror stories about, you know, people getting charged thousands and not getting what they want and stuff like that. Whereas Quendon have been really, really good.
Yeah, I think if it's within the year, they've been very good at from when you've booked. I know someone else that's getting married there and has booked further than a year ahead, and it was like £500 cost. But when you consider that, that's just the cost of inflation, everything else. So I wouldn't mind that in the sense, but I know some people that have been charged thousands.
Yeah.
So next we moved on, obviously having secured the venue, and there was a lot of love there for Parkland's Quendon Hall. So if you're watching this now or a future point, obviously keep up the good work, because Steph and Dan have been raving about, you know, the dealing with the venue throughout the process. So yeah, lots of love to Parkland's Quendon, and I'll tag you in on this so you're aware of all the nice things that they've been saying about you. So next, obviously having secured the venue, having booked the date, I asked them, well, what did you book next? What were the most important sort of things that came after booking the venue and for them as a couple?
Yes. So after we booked the venue, my main two things was photographer and entertainment. The photographer I found actually has done people I went to schools with wedding, which I realised after I looked at him, and they had beautiful photos. So it was quite good, because when you know someone that's used them, it's like on a recommendation. Obviously, when you're planning, you don't realise how much everything's going to cost. So with photographers and videographers, the prices vary greatly, but I think it shows in their work. So you can get, there was some we looked at, Dan was like, oh, we'll get someone for like 800, and you look at them and they're lovely photos still, but just not on the same level as others. So that's something for me, I personally didn't want to cut the budget there and not have the photos I wanted. Like, I want something I can put on a canvas and things like that. That's all we have left at the end of the day, are those photos and videos. So I wasn't really sure about having a videographer, but then we were like, no, it's worth the money, because that's all we've got left. And you've obviously done friends' weddings, so
which is a positive, isn't it? I think you know what they do, and you can see yourself sometimes in their video, which is always a nice bonus. I love it at wedding fair. Someone says, that's me in that video, and then on the back of that they normally book, because they spot a friend or someone they went to school with, and because it's all very local normally, you do people you know, and you're looking on and I go, hang on, isn't that Susan in that video? I don't recognise that lady. And I get, I guess that gives you a bit more confidence, doesn't it, really? And does that extend to all the things that you've booked in terms of how you've approached it? Would you say friends have recommended, or you've met someone, or you've been referred to different people?
Helps, doesn't it?
It does help. So our DJ and musician, actually, we'd booked to meet with him, and then realised just before the meeting, the last few weddings we'd been at, it was them, it was that company, so that was Mr. H. So we were saying at their weddings, we're like, oh, this is good music and it's done really well. And then we've realised afterwards, oh, that is who we're going to meet. He was at their wedding, and so that was quite nice, because we did.
You'd said it as well at the weddings that we'd been to where it played at. I'd said, God, the music's really good here. So
yeah. So I think that was quite nice, because we knew actually we'd seen what they're like at weddings.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The proof is in the pudding, isn't it? Or in this case, the music, I guess.
It's all down to preference. If you're happy with the then that's fine. At the end of the day, you've got to be happy. Every photographer has a slightly different style. So just because we like someone doesn't mean everyone else is going to like them. So definitely I go with, like I said, it's been our gut feelings. It's been like, yeah, that's the right one for us. Like we said, recommendations have really helped. Unfortunately, I am in like Facebook groups where there have been a lot of wedding scammers, and that includes photographers, videographers, people that come and dress the venue and things like that. So it's definitely worth joining those groups and searching the names if you're looking to book someone, especially if it's with bank transfers. So luckily the venue has been paid. We can pay that on card. But if you're doing bank transfers, you're just not covered. And a lot of places aren't allowing couples to take out new policies for weddings. They've kind of stopped insurances for a while.
Oh, that caught me off guard. That finished quicker than I thought it was going to do. I was just looking down to see how many people are watching along on the different Facebook channels. As I say, Steph is here on the chat. So if you want to ask her any specific questions based on things that they're talking about in the videos, then please do so. We've got about another 15 minutes to go on the program, so there's plenty of time to get involved, even if you just want to make a comment about anything that's being said, and I'll try and bring up as many of those on the screen as I can. So next up, I asked a couple, have you got any advice for other couples that are perhaps having to reschedule or have already rescheduled, or maybe rescheduling for the first time, and how have they gone about that, and what sort of hints and tips have they got for others in the same situation?
I would say with changing the dates, so I've got kind of all my suppliers' email address saved in one email thread, and when we've looked to change dates before confirming with the venue, so luckily our venue has said, right, we'll put this on hold, let us speak to everyone. So for us, the main suppliers that we want, I want to make sure they're free. If there's certain ones that aren't, we're kind of happy to lose them in a sense. Whereas you can't, if you want your photographer, they're in one person, videographer, if they're not free that date, they can't do it. So we've been quite lucky that Quendon will hold the date, let us contact everyone, get feedback and find out they're free, and then move it over. That's been quite beneficial to before completely changing it with the venue and then finding actually all your suppliers aren't available. So if you've got that option, it's quite good. Or if you can call them things to get an answer quicker, it was definitely helpful. I mean, I did all the rearranging. Dan's not really done it all.
You're very organised, aren't you, Steph? I know that with your spreadsheets and stuff. So, but I think from the experiences you've had of rearranging it quite a few times, how long has it taken you to get from looking at the possible date, asking the venue to hold it, contacting the suppliers, and then having an answer from them? Has it been a day? Has it been a couple of days? Has it been a week? Or just to give other people an idea, because I get the impression not all the venues have been as flexible as maybe Quendon have with you, because I'm getting people contacting me saying, oh, this is my new date. And I say, well, have you got it on hold? Is it an option? No, this is it. Ah, right, okay, let me check. Whereas with you, it's always been, oh, we're looking at this date, let me know, can you do it? But we've not said yes to it yet. And again, I don't know if there's any advice around that you could offer other people in terms of the rearranging. I mean, that is great to know that they're that flexible. But I guess some people might worry they wouldn't hear back from their supplier for a month and then they'd never be able to confirm their date. What would you say in that instance? Was your experience been it's been quicker, it's been a couple of days?
I've been quite lucky. So when I rang Quendon and said, when we moved originally, we then moved into March, and then literally the day after we'd moved our wedding to March, Boris announced there's a limit on weddings for 15 until the end of March. And we've got big family. I mean, I have a very big family. We want to, like, the minimum numbers we want to have for like the evening are 100. So I thought, I can't do 15. So I rang them up and they said, well, these are the 3 dates we've got. what would you prefer? So I picked one. They put that on hold, and then I contacted everyone. Luckily, yourself and Mark from Expressions Photography were quite good with answering phone calls and things, because you two are the main two I wanted to make sure. I know with Mr. H, I sent them an email and they'd respond quite quickly, but they've got a team, so I was kind of hoping that they would still be available, which it has been. And then luckily our other suppliers have eventually got back. But as long as I had my main ones reply that I definitely wanted, that I thought, I don't want to move and find out they can't do it. So once you guys had replied, I was then like, yes. And luckily everyone else eventually replied, yeah, we can do it as well. But I do know some suppliers are harder to get hold of. So it's just something to consider. If your venue doesn't give you the option, like our friend was told, these are the 2 dates, pick one, that's your date. Can't really do much as such, but it might be something worth speaking to the venue and saying, right, if this is my new date and none of my suppliers can do it, are you willing to let me move again? And find out that information from them.
Yeah, I guess just pick the right suppliers, which is obviously, it's more difficult than it sounds, more difficult to do than to say, but yeah, I guess wedding groups and things like that, and like we said, they've been very good. They're positive in that respect.
Well, there you go. Some really interesting sort of insights and advice there. I then moved on to talk about their wedding, which was due to be in November, and this is what we talked about, and this is what happened.
So, unfortunately, with everything with COVID, we've realised that we're unsure when we'll have our big day. Both of us have already lost our mums to cancer, and our grandparents are getting older. There's dementia, and our thought was we want to make sure they're there. So we're unsure when we'll have our big day, but we wanted them to see us get married and know we've got married and be involved in that. So we decided to just do, because of the limit of 15, it was just our dads and our grandparents, because if we then had siblings and stuff, it took us over.
Yeah.
So we couldn't do it. So it was no offence to our siblings and stuff. So we did that with just grandparents and booked it. We booked it for the 6th of November, near where Dan's granddad lives, because he's probably the most poorly out of all our grandparents. Yeah. So it was closer to him. And luckily, it was actually one of the cheaper registry offices. So that was quite nice. And then we booked just a local pub to have a meal after, which was quite nice. They normally do weddings there anyway, which was, they have like a separate room.
Yeah.
And then the Saturday before, so we were getting married the Friday, Boris announced we're going into a lockdown from Thursday. So we've just sat there and probably drunk a whole bottle of
we drank a lot that night.
Gin or something, drowning our sorrows, because it was like, we're not getting married again.
Yeah.
Like, I'd spent so long because we had to re-give notice because of all the changes.
It was just that thing, it kept getting, wedding-wise, the actual big day, it kept getting seemingly indefinitely. So we just thought we're going to do it on this date, and then we got that lockdown. It's like, right, we can't even have 15 people.
Yeah. So on the Monday, I rang the registry office. We could not get married any earlier than the Wednesday, so the last day before lockdown, because of when our notice of marriage was, so the 28 days. And basically it was like, can you squeeze us in anywhere? They were very helpful and nice, but the coroner's court is using the room, so we got told they can't fit us in between because they have no access to it. And then quite late on the Monday, I had another phone call saying, would you be willing to get married at 5 p.m. on Wednesday? So we were like, yes, go for it. They were told they could have the room after. So they were so helpful and so lovely, because she's willing to stay later on her last day of working before the lockdown to allow us to get married. So we can't thank them enough.
Yeah.
They were so lovely in doing that. It meant we couldn't have a reception because everyone had booked everywhere for their last meal before lockdown. So nowhere we could book, which was fine. It ended up that some of our grandparents worked quite well, so they couldn't come. But so we had both our brothers attend last minute. Luckily, they were either on furlough or working from home and stuff, and then could come. One of my sisters was in Cyprus, so she definitely couldn't be there. And yes, we got married.
Yeah, I'd really recommend doing it because, as I say, it just at the moment it just seems to be indefinitely getting postponed, and that was something we had a little bit of control over. And it was nice having a tiny little wedding. I mean, we had like 6 people in the end, something like that.
Yeah.
But it was nice. I think it was unique. You know, like weddings like this aren't going to happen. Well, maybe not ever again. You know, the little tiny weddings. But yeah, I'd recommend doing that. It kind of takes the stress off the main sort of party day as well. You know, the one later in the year. So yeah, pretty good. It was strange. It was pretty surreal.
Yeah, like Dan actually helped me get in my wedding dress.
Yeah, it was bizarre. I went to work in the morning and then helped her get ready. Obviously, you're not even supposed to see each other, let alone help her get ready. But it was different. But it's times we're in, isn't it?
Yeah. You know what? It's lovely you were able to do that, and that the register office were so accommodating. Can we give a shout out to which register office was it?
This was Ampthill Courthouse in Bedford, so they were.
Okay. So well done to them for being so flexible, and to that lovely lady that stayed on late on, as you said, her last day before probably being furloughed for who knows how long.
Yeah.
But you know, I think that's testament to a lot of the register offices and the venues that they will go. The people there really do care and will go that extra mile. And you know, if it means staying on for half an hour, that's the sort of thing they'll do because they want to help. But no, it's great you were able to do that, and you know that's a story for the future. This isn't, you know, this is an unprecedented period of time, and you've got married in that period of time.
Yeah.
So, you know, you'll be telling these stories in 40 years' time, and
exactly, yeah,
you know, recounting the tale of that particular story about your ceremony. And yeah, I mean, I think you should always focus on the positives. And I think you said, you put it nicely, Dan, that it was one thing that it gave you control over in something that you've had no control over, and actually to get married and to be able to do it is really powerful, isn't it, really?
Yeah, and it was quite nice. So after we got married, we drove up to Dan's nan and granddad's house and stood outside, had sparklers and everything, so they could kind of be involved because he wasn't quite well enough to come down there, which he really enjoyed.
Yeah, they appreciate that.
They really loved it, so that was quite nice, and we got to give them that. My nan travelled from quite far, like near London, to come up to Bedford to be part of the day, which was lovely. It was weird because my dad couldn't walk me down the aisle because we're separate households, so we actually walked down the aisle together.
That's right, yeah.
Oh, wow, which again would never happen, would it?
Yeah. It makes it unique, though, doesn't it? Yeah, and it's like when you think registry office wedding, you think, oh, it's going to be a bit, I don't know, not that.
But it was nicer than you hoped it would be.
Exactly, yeah. It was great.
They've been really nice. So they'd even got like the fake flowers and everything out and dressed the table up and gone to the effort just for us, because obviously that wasn't out for the coroner's court. So we did really, really appreciate everything they did. So I had, we gave her flowers and chocolate to just tell her how grateful we were. And it was also her wedding anniversary. So after she finished, she then went off out for a lovely meal with her husband.
Oh, that's nice. You got to know the lady as well, which I think is quite nice, isn't it, really?
It was
that, though. If you make that effort with people, they will go that little bit extra for you. And I guess you've probably found that throughout this whole process, haven't you, really? The more connection you've got to people, the more they're likely to want to be flexible and to help you, really. And I think there's a lot to be said for that. Well, there you go. Some positivity. Steph and Dan haven't had their reception yet. That's happening a later date. That's in June at Parklands, Quindon Hall, who, again, they've showed a lot of love for tonight in the way that they've been dealt with, and they've handled sort of the reschedules. But actually, a lot of positives to take out of that. They did have a small register office ceremony, and actually, as Steph and Dan said, they really enjoyed it. It was really intimate. It was different. It wasn't what they had planned, but they definitely made the best of it. So, really positive to hear that. And as Dave commented on there, who's watching at home, most venues, most suppliers are flexible and will do whatever they can to give you, the experience that you want and you deserve for your wedding in whatever way they can. So again, we all need to work together, and in doing that, we can get through this and we can give everyone the best possible wedding within the circumstances that we're able to work within. So the final question that I posed to the couple was, what's your top tip for anyone that's having to reschedule?
I would say yes, definitely think about doing, like we said, the ceremony. It does take the stress out. So then you also, I know a lot of people are fixated on, I wanted this day to be my wedding day. Like you've had it in your head for 3 years, I'm getting married this date. It can be really devastating when you change your date several times. You think that's when you're going to get married, but the registry office was lovely. I mean, if you can have, it all depends on restrictions. You can have a meal and stuff after, like somewhere like your local pub and things like that are quite nice. And then have the party when you can. We're still having a ceremony when we do get married, but it's more of a wedding blessing. We're hoping our friend, she's a training curate, which is in the church, will be able to do this for us, which would be quite nice because it's more personal.
Yeah.
So, or if you don't have a friend or someone that can do it, there are really lovely celebrants out there, and they can make it really personal. So that's something to think about, but it will take the stress out on the big day when we have it, because all the legal bit's done. So it's just going to be like, and I think it'll be really nice to finally celebrate with all your family and friends, because we've just been so locked up and so distanced from everyone. I think that's the main thing we're looking forward to when we have it, when it's safe. Because unfortunately I have had COVID. It's not nice.
You definitely don't recommend anyone goes out and mixes, because you don't want to get it, do you really? And
no.
I've heard that a few weddings have been happening illegally and they've been raided and stuff like that. Again, it's not worth the aggro, I don't think, is it? Or the fine, I guess, potentially for the venue and the organisers. So
our main thing is we don't want someone to come to our wedding and something awful happen and it be because of us.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we're happy. We've got the legal bit done, so we're legally married, and we changed my name. Yeah.
But in terms of top tip, I was just going to say the same thing as you. Yeah. If you can, just get it done. It was so nice having a registry office wedding, which is not something I thought I'd say, but it was really, really nice.
A very intimate wedding.
Very intimate. Unique really nice as well. And you can still have a party later on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just take the stress out of it. Because like you said, people get fixated on a certain date and stuff. And the reality is, you ain't necessarily going to have a choice. You kind of got to just go with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. That is the top tip. Hopefully everyone that's watching this will take that away. I think it's been great actually having both of you on and hearing it from the perspective of a couple. You've got married, you've still got the reception, the fun party bit to come. But yeah, hearing stuff from your side, as well as the balancing it with the suppliers, talking about what they're doing, how they're accommodating things, what they're doing and adapting, has been it's been an eye-opener for me, actually, some of the things you've said today. So thank you both for taking the time out on your Sunday to do this. Obviously, I mentioned earlier, because of your shifts, you weren't able to do this live on the Tuesday, but hopefully it's been less daunting than being live, and quite therapeutic just to help other people, really, and tell them. I mean, if you are watching this and you are getting married, there's some great advice from Steph and Dan there. So thank you both for doing that, and enjoy the rest of your day. Well, there you go. Huge thanks to Steph and Dan for taking time out on Sunday to record that with me. It was great to catch up with you both, and Steph, thanks for watching along and for sharing that as well. Some really, really good advice in there. Probably too many things for me to summarize, really, but some top tips, some positivity. I guess one thing to take away from this is that if you are planning your wedding and perhaps you can't have the numbers that you want, perhaps consider having the ceremony, do the legal bit now, because it's, as Steph and Dan said, it can still be a really nice sort of affair anyway, despite the fact that it's maybe not as you planned. And obviously the main aim of the game is to get married, so you can get that bit ticked, and then you can look forward to a really big party at whatever point you're able to do that in the way that you want to do that and to have your wedding. So yeah, huge thanks again for being my guests. Thanks for everyone that's watching along. If you've got a positive story that you'd like to share, whether you've had your ceremony and you're having a reception at a later date, or you've got something else that you'd like to share on here, please do comment even after we've gone live. It'd be great to see different experiences that people have had. And again, if you're a couple and you've maybe got some expertise or some experiences that you think would be valuable for other people to hear and things you'd like to share, then please contact me. I'd love to have you on the program as well in the future. It's not just for suppliers, it's also for couples. So please contact us. The email address is info@hdmedia.co.uk. And again, I'll put that into the comments. So if you are interested in being considered to come on the program, again, it can be live or pre-recorded like we did there, then please send us an email, tell us a bit about yourselves, a bit about your wedding, and we would love to hear from you and potentially have you on the program. If you are getting married and you've not chosen your videographer, if you only remember one comment from tonight's show, it's this. This is me just being a bit cheeky, so thank you for that, Dave. But as they said, do pick suppliers wisely. And I'm a big believer in this. Trust your gut. That's part of the problem not being able to do wedding fairs, is you can't have that face-to-face interaction. And a lot of our gut instinct, you know, as humans, is based on our feelings, and it's kind of our survival instincts. And again, as more and more things are online, it is more difficult to do that. So I, for one, I'm looking forward to wedding fairs coming back. It's such a great chance for you as couples, but for us as suppliers to sort of interact and to find out more about each other and sort of explain how we can add value on your day and find out what you're looking for from your day, because there's so many different people out there offering so many different things. No one's better than anyone else. They're just different. I always say that, and I stand by that. I think that's so important. And as Steph touched on, when it comes to things like, you know, the creative side of things, like photography, for example, there are lots of different styles. There are lots of different prices. Everyone's different. And we should embrace that difference and pick, you know, the people, the companies that resonate with you, and whether that be, you know, on a personality level, in the way that they do things, maybe their ethos and their values. Again, I think that's really, really, really important when you are doing that, and take away some positives from today, that, you know, things aren't how we would like them to be, particularly with regards to our weddings, but, you know, let's see if we can make the best of what we've got to work with. So on that note, I will bid you good evening. Thank you for watching. Dave, lots of lovely comments. £10 is in the post. I'll drop that off to you in the week. Yeah, and we'll look forward to seeing you again next Tuesday. We're always live at 7 o'clock on Tuesday, so join me next week, and we'll have 2 wedding supplier guests to give you more wedding advice. So look forward to seeing you then, and enjoy the rest of your week.